Hey everyone, me Kevin here. So we're going to start our market close a little bit earlier than usual here because Powell's testifying. So far, we've only gone through the opening speech. We're getting into questions now, so we're getting into the more interesting part. The opening speech, the most interesting thing from the whole thing was maybe this segment here where Jerome Powell mentions that inflation has increased notably in recent months. This reflects in part the very low readings from the early part of the pandemic, so base effects, old news, blah, blah, blah. Past increases in oil prices to consumer energy prices, so prices having gone up, obviously, commodities going up, the rebound in spending as the economy continues to reopen, and the exacerbating fear of supply bottlenecks. Basically the same thing that he's regularly said about inflation. So right now we are in Q&A about or with Powell here. So let's just go ahead and tune in here, and let's listen in while we prep for market close here.
Saw the government ordered lockdowns, whether it's businesses, schools, didn't that ultimately hurt this record-setting economy?
I don't know that I can say that. I mean, I think of course, the economy was very hard hit by the pandemic, and it's assigned to others to decide how we should have reacted. It's really not something that the Fed has expertise in or the ability to judge.
Would you say that the
keep in mind, a lot of this like testimony that we generally get with Powell or just really anybody in Congress is trying to set up for like political like clickbait. Basically, they ask hard questions to try to get like an entrapping answer that they can then quote out of context. It's endless. I hate it.
Obviously, there's a lot of data out there that indicates not only did it start in China, but that it also started in the Wuhan lab. And whether it was intentional, accidental.
Why are they asking about this?
No one should have doubt about when we could be having those hearings. So we'll continue to call for that. But you could see that straight line between the pandemic hitting from this virus that came from China, and then the shutdown that had a devastating impact not only on lives, over 600,000 in America, millions worldwide, but also on this economic crisis.
See, a lot of this, I'm just going to really probably tune in when we hear a response from Powell, because a lot of the crap in the meantime is them just yapping about their own beliefs and imposing their own beliefs.
Buy milk up 5%, bacon up 13%, gas up 56%, used cars up 30%, as we're seeing a shortage of products, harder for people to get products, supply chain backups, harder to get workers. We're seeing, as the result of that, about a 5% inflation rate recently. So I would ask you, Chairman Powell, is 5% inflation acceptable to you?
No.
Entrapping question.
Certainly not.
So clearly we want to address this crisis. Now, when you look with the unemployment crisis,
certainly not. Good, smart, short answer.
Job openings right now, which is a record high, yet the economy only added back 500,000 jobs in May. We've seen the enhanced unemployment being a big factor in paying people. 40% of the people that are getting these checks are getting more money not to work than work. That was a policy decision made here in Washington, a very flawed one.
S&P moving up, by the way, slightly.
Address it, but ultimately, as we have this labor shortage, as it's creating supply chain backups, as it's starting to get worse, especially on the inflation side, Chairman Powell, will the economy ever reach a full pre-pandemic level if this labor shortage continues?
Well, if it continues, I strongly suspect that labor supply and job creation will be moving up well over the rest of this year.
And I think that'll follow, as you see, many governors, half the governors in the country now have decided to end on their own that enhanced unemployment, and that is getting people back to work in those states. Unfortunately, some states want to continue paying people not to work, and that's causing inflation in other areas. Hopefully we can confront this, address it. I wish you well as you look at the tools you have available to you, but hopefully we as policymakers get this right as well. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
So they're going to go to another person for questions here. I do quickly want to jump in while we go back to questions. We'll get some more questions from Powell here. We'll jump back every time Powell's talking. We got Express, Plug Power moving nicely here. Virgin Galactic also pushing up 8.61%. Express up 13. But look at this one here. Peloton out of nowhere up 6.97%. Roku, Nordstrom, Etsy, nice moves over here. AMC went positive, folks. AMC was down this morning and is positive now. An incredible shift here on AMC. Let's keep listening to the Powell testimony.
I know my restaurants in the New Orleans area cannot find workers, and they're looking and paying more than they were pre-pandemic. And New Orleans has got the best food in the world. I'm sure South Carolina is not far behind, but they would like to get those workers back too.
Yeah, Gilligan is a little better. With that, I'll give 5 minutes to Ms. Maloney.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. It's good to see you again, Chairman Powell. I want to start by asking about the Fed's monetary policy and inflation in particular.
A lot of inflation talk coming today.
That the Fed is going to raise rates too early, which would seriously harm the economic recovery. As you stated last week, much of the recent rise in inflation had actually been expected. I strongly believe that the recent spike in inflation will only be temporary, and that shouldn't cause the Fed to raise interest rates too soon. In the early months of the pandemic, prices fell incredibly low. So now a year later, the year-over-year rise in prices looks very high. But that was only because prices fell to artificially low levels last year at this time. This is something that everyone saw coming for many months, so shouldn't come as a surprise at all. How much of the recent rise in inflation do you attribute to artificially low prices from early in the pandemic?
This is a good question. How much do you attribute to those lower prices, the base effects?
Supply bottlenecks, pushing up prices,
And
a
supply
genuine
bottlenecks.
Rebound
All
in
of it.
economic activity.
Say most of it or all of it.
Well, a pretty substantial part, or perhaps all, of the overshoot in inflation comes from categories that are directly affected by the reopening of the economy,
Nailed it.
such as used cars and trucks in particular. There's
Does
sort
he
of a
have an
perfect
earpiece
storm
in
of,
listening to the Me Kevin
very
stream?
strong demand and weak supply due to the reopening of the economy and various factors. We see airplane tickets, we see hotel prices, we see other things. So those are things that we would look to stop going up and ultimately to start to decline as these situations resolve themselves. They don't speak to a broadly tight economy and to the kind of thing that has led to high inflation over time. I will say that these effects have been larger than we expected, and they may turn out to be more persistent than we've expected. But the incoming data are very much consistent with the view that these are factors that will wane over time, and that inflation will then move down toward our goals, and we'll be monitoring that carefully. Of course, we're prepared to use our tools as appropriate if that turns out not to be the case, to guide inflation to 2%.
Thank you. Let me follow up on that, because we know that inflation statistics are fundamentally flawed right now due to the pandemic. We typically measure inflation using a basket of goods and services that represents what people usually purchase, but the pandemic completely scrambled what everyone was spending money on. People weren't traveling or going out to restaurants, so spending on those items stopped entirely, while spending on groceries surged dramatically. As a result, a lot of economists question whether we should be relying so heavily on inflation statistics that we know don't represent what people are actually spending money on. So my question is, do you have any concerns with relying on traditional inflation statistics, which we know are unreliable right now in setting monetary policy?
I think the overall point is that the data that we're looking at in the labor market and for inflation and for growth, it's in such an unusual setting of reopening the economy. We have to be very humble about our ability to really try to draw a signal out of it, and it may take some patience to see what really is happening. Specifically on inflation, you're really talking about consumer price inflation, the CPI. We actually use at the Fed PCE, personal consumption expenditure inflation, and that the basket is actually updated on a monthly basis for PCE, and that's one of its more attractive features from our standpoint. Still, at a time like this, when people are changing their their consumption patterns in ways that are outside of experience, I would say there's also a challenge there, even though our measure is in fact updating monthly in terms of its basket.
Switching gears, I want to ask about the Main Street lending program. It seems clear.
What a joke. I'm going to quickly pause on Main Street lending. It doesn't affect most of us that much, and they barely used any money for Main Street lending. Honestly, I mean, look at this. I do want to just get the sticks really quickly, but here, this is how much money was used by the Federal Reserve's facilities. You've got the corporate credit facility, Main Street lending right here, which she's talking about now, municipal liquidity, and the troubled assets program. I mean, we're talking about amount of assets. In total here, you're talking about like $40 billion. It's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. They're buying 3 times this amount in bonds every single month, 120 million. Like the facilities were more symbolic than anything. So we're going to pull off the question there about the Main Street lending program. Look at Plug Power here. Plug Power running to 12%. We also got Upwork making a nice movement to the upside here at 8.55% up. Peloton up 7.21 today. Build-A-Bear coming back to 1770, back over that 17 threshold. Also, though, getting a mix here of sort of that stay-at-home and recovery, which you really haven't seen stay-at-home and recovery really get even talked about separately anymore. That sort of separation is really broken apart. But seeing Nordstrom and Peloton both move higher today like this is odd. You do see the EV still struggling a bit. Tesla up about 0.5% for the day. Where let's see here, NIO and XPeng were having a little bit of a rougher ride this morning. Yeah, look at that. XPeng down 7.92%. While at the same time, we jump on over here to NIO. You got NIO at about 5.13. Tesla sitting at about 0.6% to the upside right now.
Last year, municipalities, states had great access to market, including ones with relatively low ratings. Record amounts of borrowing took place.
Yeah, again, right now he's mostly talking about those credit facilities that really weren't used much during the pandemic. Again, we saw $40 billion of total use for these. What's up, J-Dub? And which is a drop in the bucket relative to the money that the Fed's, borrow money printing. Disney is a recovery stock. You want to be careful of recovery stocks at the moment, just because we've had a recent downtrend in recovery stocks following peaks in February to March. This is very normal. This is expected as we sort of cycle potentially out of recovery stocks at the moment. So I do think if you're investing in Disney, it's great for the long run, but in the short term, I think you still have headwinds ahead of you. The same can be true or said about really if you look at Dave & Buster's, you've got almost the same kind of pattern going on. If you look at the Cheesecake Factory, you've got nearly the same pattern going on over here. Look at this. The downtrend is continuing. You go ahead and get to Southwest, downtrend continuing. You go to Spirit, which is Save. You have the downtrend continuing. So Disney is right there along with that. Disney obviously does have that plus side of having Disney Plus. So it's a little bit of a combo. I do like Disney a lot, though.
Since February 2020, a 5% decrease in the size of Iowa's workforce. Notwithstanding, employers in my state cannot find workers. And these are jobs that are greater than $15 an hour. Even some employers cannot find people to work at salaries of between $80,000 and $130,000. As Governor Brainerd pointed out earlier this year, true unemployment is far higher than the headline rate, and the labor force participation rate is nearly 6 percentage points below where it was at the beginning of the 21st century. Shouldn't we be doing everything we can to incentivize work for our own citizens? And shouldn't we be looking at bringing in additional unskilled workers into this country at a time when we have a labor shortage of skilled workers?
So I'll try to get to answer. So I think a number of things we think are weighing on labor supply right now, and those are things that should be expected to abate and wane and go away over the course of coming months. So we should be seeing our way to strong job creation, we think, as the year goes on. And there I'm thinking of a significant number of people still report themselves as not wanting to work because of being afraid of being infected or being afraid of carrying the infection to somebody they may live with who's vulnerable. Also, schools not being open, that's weighing on participation by caretakers. And then also the unemployment insurance may be interacting with some of those other factors and causing people to go on with their job search longer. There's another thing, though. The very quick job gains of the early recovery essentially involve going back to your old job. That's not so much what's happening now. Now it's actually finding new jobs, and that's a matching function that is more labor intensive and time consuming, and there may be a bit of a speed limit on that. We expect, though, as I said, a lot of progress to go forward. On immigration, it's something we really isn't in our bailiwick, and so I try to stay at a high level on a question like that.
And President Biden promised not to raise taxes on anyone making under $400,000 a year, but inflation, as has already been noted, has increased dramatically. And I realize you use the PCE rather than the CPI, but it's over 5% and is most insidious and regressive tax affecting low-income minority families, hardworking taxpayers, and seniors on a fixed income. You stated recently that the current inflation surge is likely to be transitory. Does likely mean greater than a 95% chance, a 50% chance?
Pin him
or do you
down,
have any
pin him
level of
down.
confidence in
He's
that
not going to
prediction?
answer that with a number. But he's
I have
going
a
to say
level of
significant
confidence
portion.
in that prediction. What I would have been saying though is that it's very hard to say what the timing of that will be. When will these bottlenecks disappear? When will there be enough microchips? We saw what happened in the lumber business. Prices have come way down, but they're still pretty high. When will the used car markets get back into equilibrium? So it's hard to say exactly when it will be and exactly how large the effects will be. But honestly, if you look behind the headline, look at the categories where these prices are really going up, you'll see that it tends to be areas that are directly affected by the reopening. That's something that we'll go through over a period that will then be over, and it should not leave much of a mark on the ongoing inflation process. So there's no reason why it should leave a mark on inflation, say, a year or so ahead, because we should be through it then.
Thank you. And finally, the financial
didn't give the
report of the
amount.
United States government published
He
annually.
totally dodged the question. He said, I have a level of confidence in the prediction of transitory inflation, but didn't tell us the amount.
Sustainable. On our current path, debt is projected to exceed 6 times GDP by the end of the century, and annual government spending will exceed 50% of GDP. Do you agree with the conclusions of this report? And if so, isn't this an additional and one of our greatest avoidable crises that our country currently faces?
I think that unsustainable just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy. That's been the case for a long time, and I don't think that's controversial. I think the point I would make is that the time to work on that problem will come, and that time is when employment is high, unemployment is low, economic activity is strong, taxes are rolling in. That's the right time to go to work on a longer term program that gradually moves us back to, primary balance, and ultimately you just have to get the GDP growing faster than the debt, and it has to do that for an extended period of time. That's how countries get back to a sustainable path.
And to be mindful of their spending when the economy is growing. Thank you so much. I yield back my time.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding back. The chair now recognizes Mr. Raskin for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry that you were harangued again this morning about the origins of the coronavirus. I'm very eager also for the House Committee on Science to take up this scientific question. And also,
this guy is slamming Scalise so hard. Oh, man. This is the nonsense you have to deal with in Congress. It's ridiculous. Get to the Q&A, would you?
Communist Party and General Xi in COVID-19 in February, in March, in April, and May for many months.
All right, boring. We're going to wait for an actual question to come here. I don't really want to give airtime to all these long prefaces. It's a waste of time. We do have a slight downtrend at the moment in AMC, reversing a solid uptrend that AMC did have as volume recovered. You can see we had a very nice volume spike over here in the volume bars at the bottom. We were losing volume throughout the earlier portion of the day. But we did have this very, very nice breakout here on AMC. Looking at some of the other movers right now, it does look like Clove has a little bit at least thrown in the towel compared to some of the big gains we had earlier in the day. It's almost as if people moved from Clove, took their profits, and then jumped back over to the AMC wagon, so to speak. Torch, though, has gotten torched. We talked about this being a potential as we saw a volume start falling, and we started testing our support line frequently here. We did close out our Torch position well above the support line, and we are seeing some pain here on Torch right now. Let's see if we have any answers here or insights.
I don't want to be seen to be addressing any particular legislative proposal, but I think it's basic economics that productivity is what and demographics are what drive longer term growth in a country. And one of the big ways to affect productivity is through investment. And that includes infrastructure, includes plant and equipment, in people, education, skills, things like that. So I think that is a point that I was making back in February.
Education, so important. It's one of the things in our governor plan for California, bigger, better education. So important to actually teach people skills and financial education.
Severely limits their abilities to do their work, to develop their businesses, to participate equally in school. I've had high school kids tell me they have to go to McDonald's or Starbucks in order to get internet that they can use for their assignments. The American Jobs Plan would make unprecedented investments to expand broadband to these rural communities.
I don't know that we want to talk about broadband right now, so I'm going to go back to the sticks. I do want to give crypto a shot, a look here again. We've been watching crypto all day. We made some purchases earlier. Take a look at crypto going right to, or Bitcoin in this case. Look at that, going right up to our support line over here, breaking through our support line after bouncing off of it over here and over here. Look at those two bounces off of the support line we have drawn for crypto here at 32.9. So we had one bounce here, not quite a bounce here, full bounce here, and here we broke through, but now we're sitting like a magnet right under the $33,000 line here. So a good move though overall for crypto. We did do some buying of a particular coin over here. You could watch the video I posted earlier about it. But Bitcoin is certainly leading the charge in momentum. We saw this momentum start picking up pretty strongly this morning, and it held. And so we saw that continue throughout the day. Did enter or actually add to an existing position at some pretty juicy prices. Check out that video if you haven't yet seen it. It's on the channel. If you're missing videos, by the way, or if YouTube is not giving you notifications for all of the videos, make sure you go to your app store, Apple or Android. Download the Meet Kevin app. It's totally free. Don't sell your info. It shows you latest videos, but the big thing is you'll always get notified if you want to. You can choose to get notified or not when a video is posted or we're going live. All right, let's listen more to Jerome.
Let me just pose it then in kind of a more abstract way. Would you say that infrastructure is anything that allows for the expansion of productive capacity and contribution to long-term economic growth?
I don't see anything objectionable about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just very much appreciate your emphasis on investment because that's what we've been doing with the American Rescue Plan. That's what we want to do with the American.
See, look, they're just trying to literally pitch their own plans. Like it's kind of like he gave this whole narrative, and it's like, okay, cool. Thanks, Jerome, for basically saying my bill is awesome. It's like Jerome's like just getting cornered here, and you can see Jerome's face. He's just like, dude, when are you gonna actually ask me a question? It's something else. Whatevs. All right. So we'll wait for a little bit more insight here from Jerome. In the meantime, it is 12. This is usually when we begin the regular market closing live stream. I do want to mention that I still have a little bit of weakness here. Ashford Hospitality had such an incredible run, and it's really on this rotation down here. So this is definitely a rough trend to be on right now. We do not own any of this, but it is one that we've been watching, and this is a pretty steep declining trend that we've got going here. Obviously, right now we're on the average candlesticks, but the trend is still down. Obviously, easier to point out the trend here at the average candles, but some of you have been wondering which candles are. We've got Plug still leading the day here. We've also got this recovery in Upwork, which I was looking at Upwork a little bit here, and you can see sort of just this mess of a chart here. But I'll tell you something that's very bullish is look how it finally broke out above the 52 level here, because you've really got 3 touch points here. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, and finally a break. That's pretty bullish in my opinion for Upwork. Upwork potentially moving off of tech-related information or the tech-related movement. This is obviously a classic kind of stay-at-home play. It's a phenomenal company, phenomenal product. Their revenues have exploded. I've made lots of money investing in this company. I've been looking for opportunities to add more, but when it was down over here at 37, I was adding to others that had sold off much more. So I didn't add over here, but still keeping an eye on this one for opportunities. Just like I think DocuSign right now is a little overrun. I mean, this run is pretty incredible on DocuSign. You had a pretty nice run here, massive kind of consolidation, and still running a bit here. Let's go ahead and listen to Jay Powell a little bit more.
You add in the stimulus package, child tax credit, family of four, it's about $110,000. I mean, every single employer, literally every single employer I talk to in our district, and frankly, employers I talk to around the country tell me they can't find people to work. And you think it's more of quitting and retirements, or is it more unemployment, or a combination, or what is it?
I think in terms of things that are weighing on people getting in the labor force, I think it's those three things I mentioned. It's still some people are still afraid of COVID. Maybe they're living with someone who's vulnerable. It's also schools are closed still, and having schools be open again will free up a lot of caretakers. I think unemployment benefits too. I think if you would expect a really strong set of jobs numbers coming up beginning in the next month.
Didn't you expect higher numbers? Didn't you expect higher numbers in April and May?
Yeah, I did.
Which, I mean, it sort of surprised me. I guess when you pay people not to work, you shouldn't be surprised when you don't have workers. I've never seen a situation like this where we know.
This guy just nailed Powell, going, hey, man, you expected more people to get jobs in April, May, and it didn't happen. Why are we still waiting?
I've never seen that. I've been in politics 26 years. I've never seen governors turn down federal money. So I think that just underscores how serious the problem is. But you said you think it changes soon?
Well, we know that these benefits run out on the federal ones.
What if the Democrats renew them, which they're talking about doing?
Excuse me?
What if the Democrats renew them? That'd be a problem, wouldn't it?
Again, I don't comment on
But you said you expect it to run out and that will help. I'm asking you, that's not what Democrats are saying. They're talking about renewing them. And if it helps, if they run out, if they renew them, won't that hurt?
Well, these are judgments for people who stand for
No, I'm just
election.
following your logic. You said if it runs out, that will help the employment situation. I mean, I got employers.
I think we'll see strong job creation in the fall. I really do. And I think there are all these, as you point out, 9.3 million job openings, many millions of people unemployed. There seems to be some kind of a speed limit. It may just be that it's hard to match up with a new job and people feel like they can wait a little bit longer and really shop carefully.
It seems to me, Chairman, and again, I know you're not going to comment on policies, but I don't know if the Democrats are doing anything right. They kept the economy locked down. They're spending money like crazy, proposing more.
Jerome's like, whatever, man. I'm trying to be neutral.
Proposing, all causing inflation. Inflation's went up the last 4 months, continues to increase. As I said, you got two mandates at the Fed, stable employment, low inflation. We got unstable employment. We got high inflation. And now they're paying people not to work, and that may continue. And then finally, on top of all that, they're thinking about raising taxes. I mean, this is amazing to me. First, you pay people not to work, and then the folks who are working, you're going to raise their taxes, and somehow they think that's going to help our economy, when, as I said now a couple times, every single employer I talk to tells me they can't find people to work. What do you think about all these policy ideas from the Democrats?
Again, not my job.
No, but your job is stable employment and low inflation. Right now, we have 9 million job openings and inflation that's went up 5 months in a row. So something has to give. I'm not necessarily blaming you. I'm blaming the Democrat policies. And it seems to me the idea that they're going to extend the federal enhancement makes absolutely no sense. The idea they're going to raise taxes on hardworking Americans makes absolutely no sense. And the idea they're going to spend $6 trillion also makes absolutely no sense.
This guy's getting grilled so hard.
Said, it seems to me they are doing everything
He's such a champ.
wrong, making your job that much harder. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
It's a good thing, too. With that,
I don't give comments when you make your statements. Tell me what I said wrong in that
it's a good thing
statement.
that you're yielding back so I can give 5 minutes to Mr. Foster.
It's a good thing I made those points about how bad the Democrat policies are. That's the good thing. And we'd like to answer. It'd be nice if the Fed chairman would answer the fact that if you guys extend unemployment, which he said if it goes away will be good for the economy, and if you extend it, he wouldn't answer that question.
With that, I yield 5 minutes to Mr. Foster.
Thank you. And I sympathize with the chairman sort of being left speechless by the logic that we just saw demonstrated. I'd also like to respond to some of my Republican colleagues about the origin of the coronavirus. The Science Committee Investigations and Oversight Subcommittee that I chair is in fact having a hearings on the origin of the coronavirus. The first is scheduled July 14th at 11 a.m. These hearings are going to be science-based, and I think it says.
Oh my gosh, this was. Oh wow. Oh, we got to clip this and play this back. This was hilarious. Wow, Jerome Powell. I love that. Just the no answer. It was so great. Not my job. That's the next meme. Okay, somebody got to do Jerome Powell's face looking up at the Clybourne for the next question, and then not my job.
Infections have fallen dramatically. The CDC has advised that vaccinated people can safely engage in a wide variety of activities.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, these hearings sometimes, they're a joke, but they're hilarious. They're hilarious. Oh gosh. Wow. All right. So let's take a brief look at the sticks here while we wait for an actual question. 723 on Piton. Let's go. Let's go back to 120. Come on for Piton. Going back to 120. I like it. Torchlight getting hosed down 20. Microvision raising debt. Not uncommon for raising money. Not uncommon for them to raise money when it goes closer to 20. This does usually trade between 11 and 20. Hold on. We had a response here.
Return on investment is not limited to vaccinating the United States. We also benefit economically by helping vaccinate our trading partners.
No. Okay. Yeah. Not much here. Okay. Keep going. We got SoFi getting burned here by about 5% along with Neo. Both bummers here, along with XPeng getting burned a bit. We've got Arcimoto dropping about 3 here. I'm looking for other opportunities. I'm still personally keeping an eye on a potential bottom on Coin. We did get down to about 211 is what I remembered, but it shows here 210.77 for Coin was the low of the day. We recovered along with the price of a Bitcoin, so that's not a surprise that we had a nice recovery here on Coin today. Let's go to the 5-minute candlestick. You can see that a little bit better. There you go. You can see that better. A little bit of a consolidation here towards the end of the day. I do expect that once we get through the massive amounts of crypto FUD we have, Coin's going to end up being one of these beautiful investments. But you've got a long period of FUD to get through first. Ethereum, Doge, Bitcoin, all recovering nicely today. Look at how bound we are by these lines, though. You know, with the exception of when we broke through here, which was great. Generally, we have in the past bounced off both of our lines here pretty consistently, and we've really been channeled. The exception of just this oversell that we had today, just pretty incredible. Usually we ride between these two levels here. At least that's where we've been. Let's see, Powell talking again. Let's go back.
That could have implications, as you suggest, but I wonder if that's really going to happen because of policies that we adopt. You know, the technology goes instantly around the world. It's not going to be easy to stop that. The economy's become very globalized. And also, you know, production technology is so much more efficient than it was. You can do things, you know, with the new technologies, you can manufacture things here. It may or may not result in a lot of jobs in manufacturing, but you can.
We should do this. Get some merch. That's not my job.
In terms of cost.
So the jobs will come back to the U.S., but they'll be taken by robots, sort of is here. Which
there is some of that.
There's some of that
in manufacturing, as you know.
Yeah. And so that's so you're really maintain some uncertainty on how this is going to net out for the inflation.
A lot of uncertainty. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. And my last thing, you know, you've been talking a little bit about high-speed broadband, which is, I think, an important investment with huge return. An important part of that is that when Americans get for the first time access to the internet.
I don't believe that most of you care about the broadband conversation right now, and I apologize if you do, but I'm just making the assumption that most probably don't. Clove running a little bit here into the close. Let's go back to our trading view here for a moment. This is our trading view. We are going to. I'm taking a peek here at AMC. I did think it was very interesting that we got multiple sell signals here, at least on you know, a day trading basis. Multiple sell signals here on AMC. Usually we don't see these strong sell signals here, but almost every time we hit the reversal band here, we got a sell signal. We did get buy signals earlier on AMC, so maybe a little bit of a slowing volume is the only thing that I could explain here. We got our big pump as we had a boost of volume, but we're getting these individual little peaks with maybe not much you know, consistent volume here. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see why maybe TradingView is indicating that. We'll go to Gamestop for a moment here. Gamestop having a kind of an interesting day here. You know, I have to say, let me take a look here. Webull, hold on a second here. This is somewhat interesting. So GameStop started today much higher than usual. Let's see here. After they completed their offering, GameStop, GameStop's sitting at 6%, but look at that. It's been flat most of the day. Slight little rally here in the end, but we really did give up sort of that initial excitement. We saw the same thing happen at Clove, although again, also Clove going up right now, and really to the favor of AMC while these folks were trading flat or consolidating. We've got, look at Upwork, and now almost up a full 10%, also moving up here. So it looks like the market overall moving up here just in the last few minutes. Let's listen into this for a moment.
Testified before the subcommittee, I expressed some concern that the excessive spending by Congress and money printing by the Fed might cause inflation. Mr. Bernanke denied this, saying that people said there'd be inflation in 2008, but they were wrong. Mr. Chairman, the numbers are in, and it looks like there's some inflation, at least the past couple of months, 4 and now 5%. When Congress spends trillions of dollars and the Fed prints money, something's got to give. You know, prosperity isn't created by government. I don't believe it's created by workers, by businesses, by entrepreneurs, creating and inventing, innovating. You know, I founded a healthcare company, grew that company up to over 200 million.
We're going to go ahead and pull off this here for a moment. Thank you for saying that my app is great on Android. Yes, check it out. Meet Kevin in the Android or Apple store. We do have some notes here. I'm just kind of looking through some of the notes from other folks who are following, other news agencies following Powell. It does look like at one point Powell mentioned that the rising that he will not raise or does not plan to raise rates preemptively. So in other words, if we do end up seeing this inflection to the downside in inflation, that interest rates will not be raised preemptively, that they will wait for actual inflation.
Powell, are you concerned from an economic and really a national security perspective about Russia and China dumping the dollar and their what appears to be a move to some kind of financial alliance between the two of them?
You know, that's not something that's really within our bailiwick or on our radar screen. You know, the dollar is the world's reserve currency. There really is no currency that's close to being able to compete. That's because of our democratic institutions and our record of maintaining low inflation, and because we have open capital markets and are great traders with the rest of the world. I don't see anything changing in that anytime soon.
Do you see the threat of raising the capital gains tax to 40% as a challenge to those capital markets?
Politics.
And you know, again, I really don't comment on tax and spending proposals. We don't have any authority over that. Whatever the level of capital gains tax is something that is the business of elected officials, not the business of the Fed.
I appreciate that. Over the past 10 years, the federal government's net interest costs have grown about 25% relative to GDP, despite the historically low interest rates. If spending remains on its current trajectory and interest rates reach their historic average of 5.7%, do you think the federal government will be able to pay its bills?
It's not going that high.
I have no question that the U.S. government will be able to pay its bills for the foreseeable future. There's no case in which that would not be the case. We have the strongest and largest and most flexible economy in the world. It's also true, though, that we're on an unsustainable path and that we're going to have to address that. And as I mentioned, the time to address that is when the economy is strong, unemployment
That's
is
regarding
low,
debt.
And economic activity is high.
Is it possible that the high interest rate that we're seeing today is the start of something that could be as bad as the 70s? And if
hyperinflation.
not, could you explain why?
You say higher interest rates or higher inflation?
Both.
Inflation. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very unlikely. What we're seeing now, we believe, is inflation in particular categories of goods and services that are being directly affected by this unique historical event that none of us has lived through before, called reopening the economy after closing it. So you see extremely strong demand for labor, for goods, for services, and you see the supply side caught a little bit flat-footed and trying to.
Sorry if my volume was too low.
Bottlenecks with, and you see this all over the world, by the way. This is not just the United States. You see it everywhere, and it's very similar kinds of situations. And you have a central bank that's committed to price stability and has defined what price stability is and is strongly prepared to use its tools to keep us around 2% inflation. So all of those things suggest to me that an episode like what we saw in the 1970s, and I graduated from college in 1975. I had a front row seat. That nothing like that. I don't expect anything like that to happen.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I can't see the clock. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have any more time.
You are out of time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Is this better? Is my volume now closer to what CNBC's is? Hopefully. Let me know. Just give me like a thumbs up or something in the chat if my voice is now similar to CNBC.
Powell for appearing before us. Back in 2019, you said the following. You said, we try to create a strong labor market. For many, many people and many, many communities, that's enough. But for people who are at the margins, the low to moderate income community, that's not enough. They need a chance. And earlier that year, you said you were cutting rates in part to help those who are, quote, left behind. How do you see the impact of the pandemic on these groups of people for whom you expressed empathy and concern back in 2019? And how do you see the recovery affecting them?
Well, in the first instance, the pandemic hit the service industries very hard. It's industries that involve dealing with the public, hotels, travel, entertainment. And the people in those customer-facing, public-facing jobs, they tend to be relatively low-paid jobs, and their minorities and women are significantly overrepresented among the people in those jobs. And that's who got laid off. Most of the layoffs, a big chunk of the layoffs, disproportionately, were in those industries. So it's clear this pandemic really hit those people hard. And why it was even more painful was that in the last couple of years of the very long expansion that ended in March of 2020, longest in our history, you really began to see benefits going more to those groups than to the high end. I mean, wage gains at the lower end of the income spectrum were bigger than they were at the higher end. That began to be the case in year 8, 9, 10, and the 11th year. And that was a very positive thing. And high labor force participation, the benefits of prosperity being spread widely, and it could have gone on for a long time, but for the pandemic. So we have the pandemic, and those industries are hiring people back. A whole lot of the job creation we're seeing is in those industries. You're still several million short in those industries of where employment was, but they're really high, very large numbers of job openings in a number of industries, including the service industry. So I really am hopeful with the strength of labor demand. It really is remarkably strong. That over time, and not a lot of time, this will sort itself out, and we'll find ourselves in a very, very strong labor market with low unemployment.
I'm going to pull down this just for a moment here to mention that we do have Plug Power up 13% at the moment. A little bit of a run here into the closing. Same thing with Upwork doing great into the close. Peloton actually doing pretty decently into the close as well. Pretty incredible. A 7.5% gain here. Not bad. Get a larger position in Peloton. Optimistic on their subscription model being very, very sticky. C3 AI. Wow. C3 AI. I've been eyeballing these for a while, and they're actually up 4% today. I do believe that them trading right here around $60 is some of the most. It's not as oversold as we were here in the middle of May, but this is a very strong support line here. I'm very interested in C3 AI, and I'm very curious to do some more investigating here. So maybe I should have done that yesterday, given that it's up 4.5% right now. But oh well, can't go that fast. Can't do everything at once. So Torchlight is down 21% right now, and we are getting some nice movements here. On crypto finally recovering a little bit after a pretty rough day. Workhorse still trading down though. Still trading down on Workhorse. We're not in Workhorse right now. Seeing Simon Property Group rotate to the downside slightly here. Got Tesla sitting at 0.72 right now. Let's go back to Jerome.
Getting their populations vaccinated at the rate that we are, and the COVID fires continuing to rage over there. What is the impact on our economy? And if you have any metrics that can measure that, or that you'd be willing to share, I'd be very interested in that.
I don't have any metrics, but I will say and to Mr. Foster's earlier point, we're to the extent large countries around the world, large populations around the world are not getting vaccinated, we're giving time and place for new strains, more virulent strains of the virus to develop and spread. Viruses do not respect national borders. And so I think it is very much in our interest to support broad vaccination around the world. It's also the right thing to do, but it clearly is the best thing for us as well, because no one is really safe until we're all safe.
Very good. Thank you so much for your service, sir.
I don't know about that one, but okay.
I thank the gentleman for yielding back. The chair now recognizes the ranking member for a closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the hearing. Chairman Powell, appreciate the work that you do. Obviously, some of the questions that we have, both Republican and Democrat members had, are more in the policy realm, which is not your purview. You have tools as the chairman of the Federal Reserve. You have mandates, as I know Mr. Jordan and you were talking about. But many of those tools are harsh tools that we don't want to have to get to if we don't have to. And I think that's really where we as policymakers need to step up and do a better job so that it doesn't fall in your lap. And I think those points were made clear. And if you look at just the two mandates of the Federal Reserve, maximum employment and stable prices, right now we don't have either. And it's because of policy decisions primarily by the Biden administration. Paying people not to work is causing real damage to our economy. You can't have 9 million openings for jobs.
All right, more political jabber, whatever. We'll see if Jerome has any kind of closing statement. So I'll come back when Jerome's actually talking again. In the meantime, let's go ahead and look at our sticks as we approach the closing bell here. We do have a Plug Power sitting around 12.5%. I'm going to go and take a peek at our trading view here. Let's see what we got. Let's go to Plug. Taking a peek here at Plug. Plug on the day chart. We have a nice uptrend, actually indicated a buy just recently here. Recent buy indicated at Plug, which is very interesting. At no point did they recommend to sell on the intraday. They didn't recommend a buy earlier, but are recommending a buy right now on the algo. If we jump on over to, let's go, we can grab AMC quickly, and then we can also take a peek at C3AI. Is what we'll do. So we've got a nice move to the upside here. Interesting. Look at this. Recommended a sell on AMC, which we checked in just shortly ago, and now recommending a buy after we saw a little bit of a decline here on AMC. So pretty incredible movements here. We've got C3AI is another one to keep an eye on. So let's jump in over here. So this one, nice run today, and really still sitting at that support line. Still hasn't really recommended a buy since late yesterday. But you know what? That was the indicator right here. Buy late yesterday, and you would have had this nice run up over here. So I'm going to keep an eye on these going into the close here. Let's see if, nope, still think we're getting ready for a potential Jerome reply here, but not yet. So in the meantime, we'll go ahead and jump back over to our sticks. Clover doing well, recovering here. We did go down from about 20% to about 5% up, and now sitting around 11%. So you got some big old volatility over here. Trade Desk has been doing very well. Up 5% today. We've got Trade Desk split, by the way. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you had a little bit of a sell down here. I added Trade Desk in this pit over here after the substantial collapse. This was my first time adding Trade Desk. And or starting a position, I should say, in Trade Desk. We do have a little bit of what initially looks like a kind of a concerning potential downtrend here on Trade Desk. And so the hope is that we can break out of this downtrend on Trade Desk. You can see a little bit of that. Go ahead and draw a nice trend here. Let's see what we can do. There we go. So we'll see if we can end up breaking out of this downtrend or if we end up rotating here a little bit. Trade Desk, another one to keep an eye on, along with C3, in my opinion, down substantially from some of their previous highs, but really great for the potential tech movement, and it's a good way to maybe diversify away from the EV plays. So we'll watch Trade Desk and, of course, Matterport. We have the merger coming up very soon for Matterport. Trade floating above our supports right now for Matterport. Really enjoy Matterport, so it's a great product, and we'll see how this company expands. All right, what else do we have here? Nordstrom at 4.5% to the upside. Micro's still sitting here. Torch still sitting here. I do want to say this. I am concerned about Torch for tomorrow. SoFi, hold on, let me see here really quick. SoFi, yeah, 5% down on SoFi. I am a little bit concerned about Torch though for tomorrow, because I think the folks who would be, oh yeah, look at that sell down on SoFi. Wow, that is intense. I mean, look at it. It's almost a perfect downtrend. It's incredible. SoFi's really got smacked today. And look at the volume spikes here. It is almost like attack. It's tons of sell volume here, huh? So watch this. But yeah, seriously, Torch, folks, people who want to be in this, their last opportunity to buy to get the dividend and be certain that they're going to get the dividend is today. So yeah, like this is something to keep an eye on, that we might lose our buying pressure going into tomorrow. I would not buy Torch personally right now. I've sold my Torch position. I sold it over the VWAP for the day, and this does make me a little bit nervous. I mean, it's good that we have a consolidation intraday, but just knowing about peak media trends, I would be a little bit nervous. Not suggesting that people have to sell or whatever. I mean, ultimately do whatever you want. But I would be nervous about a potential peak media event this week. So we do have this consolidation, actually kind of forming a little bit of a wedge here. Here we go. So we'll see how this one breaks. I'm very concerned that this potentially could be a bearish flag. Which, keep in mind, we did add technical analysis. We finally opened up our technical analysis lectures, and we'll be getting more of them in the Stocks and Psychology of Money group. So you're always welcome to check that out. Use that 40% off coupon code link down below. It does expire approximately a week. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it is possible that this could be starting to create a bear flag, and that we might have a substantial rotation to the downside over the next few days. But not just solely because of this, but because we know that this is a peak media event that's coming up on Thursday and Friday. Who knows if it runs again tomorrow? But people who would want the dividend, today would be the last day to buy to get that dividend. All right, let's see if there's anything else coming out of Jerome here.
Congress and the Fed alike. Our economy is recovering swiftly.
No, it looks right now like we just have closing statements coming through from the individual congressmen and women who are part of this hearing. Nothing yet from Jerome. I'm waiting to see if we get any kind of closing remarks from Jerome. Sen's all of a sudden moving up a little bit here towards the close of the day. Nano Dimension. Wow, Nano Dimension comes back to life. Boy, oh boy, it's been a while since we've seen Nano Dimension actually do something. Look at that trend, though. That is a nice move here on the day. Woohoo, that I like. It's a very, very nice trend here. And look at how Nano Dimension has consolidated here. I mean, we're sitting right now at what looks like January pricing. In fact, can we draw support here? Yeah, somewhere around here. That was a support here. Almost, it was an approximate resistance here, or I'm sorry, support level here. Support resistance is where we sit right now. We've also kind of broken through briefly over here. This could be an interesting line to watch, because look at this. You get touch, you got touch over here, and then rough touches over here. So roughly around this, where do we sit here? $8? Yeah, somewhere around that 8 to 8.15 line. I would be paying attention to Nano Dimension. That's where we sit right now. Makes you wonder if we get a breakout above this line, if we're going to get a movement to the upside. I will check the short interest data on this one. Give me one moment to pull that up.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I'm pleased I was able to get in, at the end of the hearing. But let me just say that, of course, I've worked with Chairman Powell.
Who remembers Maxine when we did the GME hearing? That was fun. The GME was wonderful. Good job, Jen. Shout out to Jen. Getting out of Torch at $10. You must have gotten out right at the pre-market because it was down at like $9.91 right as the market opened. So good job, Jen, waking up and taking the tendies for the day. Good for you. We were going to look at short interest for an NDM. Nano Dimension sitting about 9.85% short right now. Let's listen in to see if there's anything to close out on.
About, expenditures. Also, I'm very pleased at the way that he opened up and initiated so many facilities. Some of them I still don't understand, but I do know that there was every attempt to...
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. The facilities were a joke. They were symbolic. They were a joke. They're a big joke. All right, whatever. Let's I don't know that Jerome is actually going to say anything else here, so I will keep an eye on this though. We've got space. Look at this. Virgin Galactic up nicely here, 9%. It's at $39. Folks, Virgin Galactic. Look at that run from $14 to $37. I mean, this is more than a double. It's like a double and a half. Really, really impressive recovery on Virgin Galactic. You know what we should do is look at the short interest on space. Really, really incredible recovery. Had fallen substantially down, and so quite incredible. So waiting for the black gap to load here. A little bit of a delay, so we'll give that a moment. We'll come back to space. So we've got Clover. Clover's still up about 11.3%. Upwork, let me take a peek and see if there was any news on Upwork, because this Upwork movement is pretty interesting to me. It's one that I'm not sure if it's coming because of a trend going back to potentially tech or coming back to tech, or if there's something else happening. So looking at the Upwork news, we've got social media volume rises. Somebody raised their rating. Maybe that increased it. We've got MSCI EG rating raised to A from Better Business Bureau. I don't know that any of this really matters. So yeah, environmental for Upwork. I don't know that would have such an impact on the stock. So it really seems to be a little bit of a social media push there actually on Upwork, which is obviously a big deal. Here we go.
The meeting that I thought this was give us an opportunity.
He's not going to say anything anymore. He closed his book.
With the vision, without vision. I was chastised for having said that, but I want to say once again, fulfilling the vision of this country, as we heard from Chair Powell today, is integral to our, what I call the pledge in our.
Upwork only about 4.65% short. So not sure if, what kind of mention we have on Upwork here on social media, but I'll tell you, social media is not always going to be right, and that's okay. But we've got a lot of attention on Workhorse right now. And I'll tell you, Workhorse has been stuck at the support line. Now, it gives me comfort in some sense that it has been trading around the support line. It is increasing a little bit into the close here. It does give me comfort because I do think one of these days, Workhorse, we're gonna wake up for market open. Y'all are gonna be here, and one of these days we're gonna see volume pump. This thing's gonna go up 5%, and that's gonna be a signal to just jump in, honestly. even after we get that confirmation of a little bit of a bump. I don't have to be in at 0. I'll get in the rocket ship at 5%, 10% off the ground, because I think Workhorse has this potential of moving 50 to 100%. We'll see. We shall see. But it's definitely one I'm keeping an eye on. And I do like it right around 14 here. We did get an opportunity to get pretty close to 14. Actually, no, look at that. We fell below it. That's right. This morning in the course member live stream, we were looking at it here at 1383. I remember now. See, course member live stream is 8 to 9. We were talking about it this morning. Yep. This is why you want to be a part of those course member live streams. Link down below. Another optional stream you could be a part of every day. Let's listen to see if there's anything coming here with Jerome as they wrap this up.
To support the economy's recovery. With that, and without objections, all members will have 5 legislative days within which to submit additional written testimony for the witness to the chair, which will be forwarded to the witness for his response. This hearing is adjourned.
Gavel.
There ends the subcommittee hearing in the House titled Lessons Learned, the Federal Reserve's Response to the Coronavirus Pandemic. Unclear whether any deeply lasting lessons were indeed learned from that hearing. Perhaps the standout comment.
The meeting was a joke.
That strong job creation should arrive in the fall, perhaps implying that
the meeting honestly was a joke. I mean, I'll give you a very quick synopsis of the Jerome Powell meeting. So I may as well just give you that really quick. Give me 1 second here. Let me just give you a quick summary here so you have it. Some of you like the summary towards the end of these hearings. All right, folks, the Jerome Powell, yep, there we go. Hey everyone, me Kevin here. The Jerome Powell, screwed that up. Hold on, let me just get rid of this. There we go. Okay, let me give you a quick summary and then we'll go back to the sticks, okay? Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In case you're wondering what happened with Jerome Powell and front of Congress and his testimony today, the answer is, well, in this video. So here's the thing. Jerome Powell reminded us that a significant portion or all inflation that we are seeing now is due to temporary base effects and supply bottlenecks. He mentioned a significant portion to all of it. Now, he declined to give us a specific percentage. He says that he, quote, has a level of confidence in the prediction that that inflation is transitory, but he did not give us an amount. He also mentioned that the jobs are likely to lag, as when people change jobs, they have to learn new skills or present themselves and sell their skills in different ways, and this makes it difficult for them to quickly get new jobs. He sees this potential matchup issue to getting a job, or like the way I like to depict it is, you've got a bunch of neatly placed marbles on a marble set, and some child or whatever comes in, throws them all up into the sky, and then they all have to get resorted, right? Jerome Powell sees the reassignment of people, the reassignment of the marbles, so to speak, as being or running against the speed limiter, matchup issues because of differences in skills, in education. But he does also say that beyond the speed limit issue, we do have the issue that people aren't potentially getting jobs right now, as some of them are potentially still afraid of COVID, especially communities that are less likely to get vaccinated, like African Americans or Hispanics, who also disproportionately work in the service industry, or which was obviously one of the most hard hit, or actually probably the most hard hit sector during the economy. We also know that schools are still closed, which is keeping folks home, taking care of their children, and that unemployment benefits might also be weighing on folks' interest in going back to work. Now, Jerome Powell does tell us that, hey, this was a pretty funny moment during the actual testimony. Jerome Powell gets asked, hey, well, wait a minute, Jerome Powell. So you're saying it's good if we get rid of the unemployment boost, or that the unemployment boost expires, because that means people might be motivated to go back to work. And then the questioner, a congressperson, questions and says, so doesn't that mean that it would be bad if Democrats extend the unemployment boost? And as soon as he said that, he's kind of just like, he went super quiet, like not touching that. But it was interesting. The big bottom line takeaway, short of sort of trying to reenact what happened there, the big bottom line was Jerome Powell said, hey, look, I expect people to go back to work in September. So he almost got caught in a corner, walked himself out by saying, I expect people to go back to work in September. That's all he said. He also mentions that rising income inequality hurts productivity, and hurting productivity is obviously a bad thing, that we want to make our society more productive. Touched a little bit on, yes, infrastructure spending is generally deemed to be good for productivity, but the level of our spending right now is unsustainable. unsustainable. He reiterated, and he said this before, so it's not news. He said, quote, "We are on an unsustainable path." And he's referring to the debt in the United States, that we have no issues paying our debts now because interest rates are low. We probably won't have issues paying our debt in the future, even if interest rates go up. He does not expect the United States at any point to ever have difficulties paying its bills, but he does say that we are spending too much money right now to where we are on an unsustainable path. So he really gave nuggets to both Democrats and Republicans in their negotiations. When he was asked, can we get to 1970s style inflation? He says, quote, "Very, very unlikely." He also mentions and made this very clear that the business of taxing is not the business of the Fed. And multiple times throughout his testimony, he made it very clear that certain things were, quote, "not my job." And that is a summary of what Jerome Powell had to say during his testimony. All right, folks, let's go back to the sticks. So let's see what we've got over here in the sticks. We've got a little bit of a sell down right now happening in Torchlight. This does not surprise me. It does not surprise me to see a little bit of a sell down here at all, mostly because this is that moment where if people were going to buy Torchlight to get that dividend, they would have to do so within the next 17 minutes. And if people are only in it because of the hype of this potential special dividend, then we might start seeing people rotate out either at the end of the day today or first thing tomorrow morning once they get registered as I get the dividend and now I want to get out. Because of the T+2 settlement time frame, getting the special dividend on the 24th is deemed to mean that you have to own these shares by the 22nd, and then you get the special dividend, which in theory means if you sell on the 23rd, you get your special dividend on the 24th. Your trade doesn't actually settle until the 25th, which means you get the special dividend even though you sold potentially before a sell-off. Who knows if a sell-off is going to happen? Now, we do have a bearish flag sitting on Torchlight right now. We do have some concerns that we will hit a peak media event with Torchlight this week. I don't know enough about the fundamentals of this company to really speak on the special dividend beyond what I just did, but I do know that technically some of the concerns are something to potentially heed or at least be aware of. GameStop moving a little bit more here, 7.6%. We also have Matterport sitting at almost a full 5% up here. Very nice. So I'd like to see that. We've got, what else we have here? Trade Desk, 5.3%. Very nice. Okay. We have, Matterport doing well. Okay. COVID recovery trade over. Hold on a second. Let me listen to this. The COVID recovery trade.
And global equity derivatives. Manish, perfect timing as Microsoft just hits $2 trillion in market cap. So is this what we've been seeing, this shift back into big cap tech? Do you think it'll last?
I think so. So I think, one way to think about this is that, these big cap tech stocks really did well in 2020 and they outperformed. But then for the last few months, they have been trending sideways because people have rotated away from their secular growth story into sort of more cyclical growth stocks. But I think just given where we are right now in terms of both valuations and just given where the Fed is, I think the leadership is going to change from cyclical to secular stocks.
But you still like financials despite that point of view?
So it's almost like a barbell approach. You want to have a hedge to some extent. So, our baseline view is completely what Chairman Powell had said, that this inflation is going to be transitory and we should get back to sort of normal by next year. However, there is still a chance that you could have a spike in inflation. And so if you were to choose one cyclical stock, which would, or group of or sector, which you would like to hold, it would be financials. Again, it's a story of higher rates. Higher macro environment should be beneficial for them. And indeed, even though they have rallied quite significantly from a valuation perspective, they are not as rich as some of the other some of the other cyclical sectors, such as consumer discretionary or industrials.
Manish, we have to leave it there, I'm afraid. The aforementioned Mr. Powell ran long. Thanks so much for joining us.
I mean, it is interesting that we still have folks talking about this barbell portfolio. I feel like this is like a very 2020 thing that was always said and always talked about. Like, oh, have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I get that. I actually have to say I don't blame that so terribly much because when you have a portfolio, it's very, very common for your portfolio to go through cycles, right? It goes through up and down swings. And it's nice when some of your portfolio is going up while some of it's going down, right? If you're only sitting there with tech stocks, you feel like there's been a knife in your back for the last 3 or 4 months, and I totally get that. Okay, so folks, one of the concerns we have here. Okay, hold on. And there's also another question here, a few questions about Torchlight. So we were just talking about how Torchlight could potentially sell off towards the end of the day or early tomorrow morning. We do have a little bit of a drawdown on a Torchlight happening right now. Also, somebody mentioned that who gets the dividend if there are multiple owners today. So usually it's the owner of record at the end of the day on the 24th. So now, yeah. Andrew, you might want to, look, this is the thing, okay, folks? You are going to get information arguing both ways. If you want the dividend, IMO, in my opinion, my honest opinion, if you want the dividend, either be in the stock or don't be in the stock. If you're trying to trade it, you made a killing on it, maybe you take your money. It's up to you, right? But see, somebody here says, my investment firm says we have until the end of Thursday. That's fine. You could talk to 5 different investment firms, and you'll hear them say, well, no, technically the owner of record is the person who has it after it settles. I'm not going to speculate on it. I have no idea, other than if you want to be certain in either way that you get that special dividend, you would want to be in before the 22nd. Is it possible you'll get the dividend if you buy it Wednesday or Thursday? Sure. So that's the way I would look at it. And it's also possible that brokerages themselves, like for example, if they have sellers of Torchlight and they have buyers of Torchlight, they might be able to do that matching up themselves. That's entirely possible. In which case, maybe that person's right. I don't know. Again, honestly, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so what else do we have? Let's go to. What we haven't done in a little bit is, let me see for a moment before we, Torchlight down 30% right now. I do want to take a peek at Bloomberg. Do they have an interview going on or no? No, they do not. Okay, no interview at Bloomberg. Fine then. I did also want to mention this about AMC. Okay, so I tweeted this on AMC. You might want to follow me if you have not considered following me yet on Twitter. But check this out. This is what I tweeted. I go, rumors are floating that the Bloomberg terminal shows AMC at over 20% short. And I mentioned that in order to really understand how this information works, you have to realize that if you hover over what the short interest is that's showing for short interest, you'll actually see that this is the short interest percentage for AMC as of May 28th. So you gotta be careful. A lot of misinformation out there in regards to short interest percentages. And oftentimes when folks are quoting very high short interest percentages, they're actually quoting old information. So it's something to keep in mind. So what else do we have? Well, we've got the crypto markets at the moment still recovering, sitting at 19 cents on Doge, sitting at Ethereum 1900, BTC 32.5, bouncing a little bit off here off of our 32.9 line. Let's see. We have an overall positive market going into the close. I want to look into the SPY here. No, never mind. SPY actually selling down into the close over here. It does looks like this is roughly when the J. Powell meeting ended. Actually, yeah, this is when they started ending the Jerome Powell meeting. So the meeting actually got a nice little pump here in the S&P 500. But as far as the rest of or after the meeting concluded, we did start seeing a little bit of a sell down in the S&P 500 at least. Let's go take a look at some other things that are moving. Plug Power, wow, Plug Power killing it all of a sudden. Throughout this entire day, Plug Power has just been a mover and a shaker. It's been incredible. We had a phenomenal move off of our lows at the beginning of the day here. We just continued getting growth upon growth upon growth. Very, very strong moves here on Plug Power. Probably will have a short video on Plug Power coming out later today. But very exciting. Very, very exciting move here on Plug Power. We have Clove, 13.5, Express, 11, Upwork, 10.8. Very good. Gamestop rotating up slightly into the close. Look at that move here into the close. Absolutely amazing. Good move into the close. We have Virgin Galactic also doing very well, along with Upwork. Virgin Galactic up 9.3%, Upwork up 10.6%. I'm particularly also looking at Peloton, phenomenal 8% move here. Matterport 5%. We've got Proterra up. Nano Dimension, which hasn't been up for a while, is up. Etsy, come on, our lovely Etsy's finally heading back to 200. It is absolutely incredible. We've got, what else do we have here? Pinterest at 3%, Shift Tech 261, Enphase 247, Churchill Capital 21. Yeah, crypto's pulling back a little bit. I see a comment here on ADA. ADA has been following crypto. It's not a short trade for me. The crypto, I'm looking to build my crypto positions after I did a massive trade out of Bitcoin at about $56,000 to $58,000. I took about $500,000 out of Bitcoin, and I'm looking to re-enter at a lower, more strategic price. I don't know that 28 is the low, but I'm going to be tracking Bitcoin, and so I went ahead and bought into ADA a little bit earlier today at somewhere around 107 in terms of pricing. I do believe there's a big support line at 2. However, if Bitcoin does break down under 28 and we start heading towards that 19.9, which is possible, I think we're going to have a lot more pain coming to the market. Something to keep an eye on. Wow, Coinbase actually went positive here. Hut 8 Mining went flat after a disastrous day. Absolutely incredible. A Palantir slightly negative here. Torchlight still getting burned a little bit going into the close here at 27%. Electromechanica down 1.17. Spirit, American Airlines down slightly. We do have a little bit of crypto talk here, so let's listen to this.
Sentiment this week, and Bitcoin investment products saw their 6th straight week of outflows. That's according to CoinShares. Broader crypto investment products saw a 3rd consecutive week of outflows. That is the longest bear run since crypto winter back in 2018. Guys, back to you.
Ooh.
Okay, thanks so much for that. Mike, I mean, the interesting thing, which was an unanswered question back in March or April when Bitcoin was up at 60K, is it can fall aggressively on certain days.
Hey, if you have not downloaded yet the Meet Kevin app on your phone, do it. Apple, Android, download the Meet Kevin app. And if you get it within the next 2 or 3 minutes, let's see if you get the notification, because I'm going to post a quick summary on what Jerome Powell said, which was embedded in this video here. But I'm just going to post it out separately so you would get that. But then you'll actually get to see the power of it. You know what we might even do is push the button and then time it to see how it goes. But let's keep listening into this talk.
But it's holding in there. It's still up huge from a year ago. And I think it's all about, very big holders wanted to defend this 30,000 level. And it's an extremely concentrated asset in terms of its ownership.
Charlie, is it enticing for a value investor like yourself yet? Bitcoin going to 30,000?
No, absolutely not. I think the precedent here that people need to remember is that in the 30s, Roosevelt outlawed individuals owning gold. And more recently, the U.S. government outlawed Swiss bank accounts, all for the same reason, because they don't want people to be able to transact in ways that the government can't see. They don't want people to be able to hide profits, to make illegal payments. And so I think the risk of real government regulation here to reduce ransomware.
Ted here says, wow, CNBC trashing crypto. Unsurprising.
That are going to be very tough on Bitcoin.
Meantime, soaring home prices continue to weigh on existing home sales. Diana Olek with the latest details. Diana.
Let's hear it.
Sarah, sales of existing homes in May dropped a little less than 1% from April, but that's the 4th straight month of declines. It's still due to low supply and high prices. The realtors say more and more buyers are getting squeezed out. The number of homes for sale was down over 20% from a year ago. That pushed the median price of a home sold in May to a record $350,300, up 23% from a year ago. That's both the highest price on record and the strongest price appreciation ever.
All right, let's go ahead and back off of this. Let's go ahead and pull up. We haven't looked at AMC shortly, so let's go ahead and look at AMC. AMC at $58, actually doing a nice rally here. Good sort of move on the day here. It looks like that buy signal was a good buy signal again right here. Buy signal coming in at about 56.7, sitting at about $58 right now. Very, very strong day. We did have a pretty rough day early to start with. Day really did not go too well initially. Did get a nice strong recovery here intraday though. Absolutely phenomenal. We broke very nicely above support levels, and we're heading back to that approximately 60-ish level, support level. So we'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and hop on over to, I do want to see Torchlight here as we go into the close. We have Torchlight. Let's see here. Oops. Torchlight. How's Torchlight doing? Torchlight's sitting at 712 right now, bobbing along the bottom a bit here. Go ahead and see if there's any kind of buy-sell indicator here. No, just strong movement indicator here. We've got, which is obvious, but again, we know, and I don't know that the algorithm knows, but we know that this is a little bit of a, a peak media mover here. So we got to be careful with that. All right, so if you have that app, I'm going to go ahead and post what Jerome Powell just said, quick summary. I'm going to go ahead and post that now. If you've been part of the live stream, you already know what's in that, but otherwise, we'll see when that notification comes through. Usually it takes under about 30 seconds to come through, so we'll see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and see what's happening to the rest of the sticks. Torchlight now sitting at about 29% down. We've got Ethereum sitting down about 4, just under 1900. Looks like we got a little bit of an additional pullback here on the cryptos as we're moving into the close. 32. There we go. What Jerome Powell just said. Boom. This is why you got to have it. Top line there. All right. There. What Jerome Powell just said. Look, y'all mentioning it too. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the mention there. That's awesome. Super cool. So we know it works. Yeah, it beats the YouTube notifications. All right. Plug Power still ripping. I mean, really impressive rip here. And GameStop ripping here into the close. Look at that push into the close on GameStop. Very, very nice. Good news here after closing that that funding round. Great job, GameStop. Virgin Galactic 9%. Peloton ripping too. No way. 8.5% on Peloton. A volume jumping into the close after the Jerome Powell talk. Really didn't give us anything shady. Reiterated the belief that inflation is going to be transitory. Whether you believe it or not, he is doubling down on that belief. We've got about 1 minute to the closing bell with AMC right now sitting at about 4.65%. We've got a pretty much, it feels like a broad rally going into the close here. Short interest sitting at 13.99. That is up. We've got share utilization up 94.28 on Ortex. We are sitting up on the Black app as well, slightly up for AMC short interest. Remember, you can have multiple squeezes being squoze. If you have not watched my AMC video yet this morning, make sure to watch that. Somebody mentions that DraftKings is up. DraftKings up 2.5% here. We do have a slight recovery here after this bad news that came into DraftKings here. We got 15 seconds left to the close. We're going to go ahead and play the song.
Services and technology, the three best performing sectors, all up the best part of 1%. Real estate and utilities, the only two sectors of 11 in the red. Dollar down a little bit, yield
Can't hear a word they're saying. So you can see the Dow is up slightly at 0.22%. S&P up about 0.5%. We got the NASDAQ up 0.78% and the Russell 2000 up 0.44%. The market is closed. Gavel. Boom, boom, boom. You should be able to turn on app badges for the app. I see one of you asking that in the comments here. We've got Torchlight. Torchlight ending at $7 flat for the day. $7 flat on the day here. Going to look at how things closed here. That means Torchlight was down 29.44%. Dogecoin sitting at 10% to the downside, rotating slightly lower here at the same time as the closing bell. We got Microvision down 10.58% after they wanted to raise some money. You have the clearest as day indicator of some hedgy manipulation or short manipulation here, or whatever you want to call it, on SoFi, because if you want to see a short ladder attack, look at this. Boom, boom, boom. You could even see some weird glitching right here, whatever. But wow, look at that boom, boom, boom. That is a boom. Yeah, that's sad. But anyway, XPeng down 8.3%, getting crushed today on XPeng. NEO getting whacked at 5.18%. BYD going down 4.2%. Li Auto going down about 4%. Really, the Chinese autos just getting wrecked on the EV side today. Tesla not getting hit like this. Tesla sitting at 623 in the day. After hours, pretty flat. Let's go ahead and just grab the symbol here. Tesla. We are up a 0.46%, roughly flat there on the day. Gaining slightly in the after hours now on Torchlight, up about 1.43%. Got ZOM sitting at 3.9. Probably because you got traders out who just wanted to just trade it. That's possible. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a pop in the morning, or we'll see a sell-off in the morning. We'll see. Who knows? Or it's also possible that the people who would want to sell tomorrow would probably be people who would want the dividend. And so it's possible that they would just wait through Thursday or Friday if they were just in it for the dividend. I don't know. All right. What else do we have here? We've got Southwest down about 1%. Upstart rotating slightly down. Upstart's actually been holding on. Usually it used to kind of swing down to under 100, and it's been holding on pretty well here. Carnival sitting at 28. How's Carnival been? Take a peek here on the day chart on Carnival. Okay, so actually just kind of a straight solid trend to the upside. It does have this recent trend down, which is very, very common in the recovery sector right now, to see a recent downtrend or at least a flattening of pricing here recently. So we've seen that at Cheesecake Factory, the airlines. We've seen it consistently across the board. We have, what we should do actually is just do a quick look here at the 10-year treasuries just to see what we've got. 10-year treasuries sitting at 1.47. A headline here on CNBC is that S&P 500 jumps for a second day and NASDAQ hits all-time high amid Bitcoin's comeback. So we'll see about Bitcoin comeback. Fingers crossed that it does, but I am prepared in the event that it doesn't. I've initiated a wire going over to Coinbase, so I'll have some more money over at Coinbase. Did do some crypto buying in the dip today. Really timed that dip. Probably got in somewhere right around here as we saw this trend getting confirmed. Actually, maybe it was closer to right around here. But either way, we were watching this dip, and once we started breaking out, we had a feeling it was going to run. Did have a run on it, so did well here. We let's see. See, that's the thing when you're trading and you're waiting for that confirmation. Sometimes you're not getting the dead bottom because you're waiting for the confirmation that you're not going to keep rotating to the downside, and that's okay. Remember, we have added some technical analysis lectures, many more coming on technical analysis and options to the amazing courses, link down below, specifically Stocks and Psychology of Money. Though I did also update the lectures in the other programs as well, so there are new lectures there as well. Always add content for free, so use that 40% off coupon code and join. Torchlight actually up 4% in the after hours here. My take is that, again, people who were worried about a potential sell-off got out. And now you have the hodlers. Hodlers are probably going to hold this through, my guess is at least Friday, the holding traders, I should say. We'll see what happens. So I don't want anyone to lose money, but I'm always cautious as to what trends are, or aware of what trends are. Okay, what else do we have? We've got Canoe. Canoe sitting under $10 again. We've got, that's not true, Dave Unbranded. Kevin sometimes does. Good gemacht. Well, thanks, Ted. So look at AL. A lot of folks asking about ALF. I don't know anything about ALF. Alfie? This thing? Alfie Inc. So some incredible running here just over the last week. I don't know anything about this particular stock. So it does look like it's had some incredible days here, though. Particularly today. Looks like it opened around 7. Oh my gosh, it more than doubled. Wow, this thing more than doubled today. Hold on, let me see it on the actual chart here. I don't know if I can see it. Where is it? Alfie. Alf. There it is. Alf or Alfie. Wow, 108% today. Well, let's go ahead and see what the news was on this. Let me see what Alfie was. Nobody mentioned it in the morning. Okay, but we could see. You want to be careful diving into things that have gone up so substantially. Usually increase your risk a good chunk. But let's see what we got. Alfie. It's Alfie. Okay. Alfie US equity. Liquidated. What? That's not right. Is it ALF? Oh, it's ALF. It's the ticker symbol is ALF. Got it. And then it's Alfie Inc. So what is this thing? This is a software solutions company that provides proprietary developed machine learning algorithms to sense human behavior and perform with high levels of accuracy of real-time metrics. Alfie serves customers in the United States. It's a Miami Beach, Florida company. Let's see. I don't know if we have any earnings at the company. I'll take a peek here. So it's got a market cap of $108 million. It's a tiny company. It has no earnings. No earnings at all. I mean, this is like zeros across the board. Okay. So what's the scoop here? Individual company news. Take a peek. Alfie sets post-IPO high on $2 million share buyback. So they're doing a big buyback. Okay, they're propping up their own share price. They have no earnings. They're trying to gain attention to the stock so they can, I mean, my guess, I mean, like, you could do a buyback and then just turn around and sell shares. That'd be terrible. But yeah, this is not exciting to me. No earnings, newer company, clearly, given that there's no earning, or there are no earnings. Let me have a share. What's the shares? Dude, come on. There are only 4.5 million shares in the float. 4.5 million shares in the float at whatever, $7. Or yeah, $7 was what it was earlier, right? That works out to $31 million in the float. And they basically gave it a buyback. Oh, well, I mean, it's buyback of the float. About 2%, a little less than 2% of the float is what they bought back. No, I'm sorry. No. 8%. Somewhere around 8% of the float is what they bought back. But apparently that must have led to some serious attention for the company, given that it basically doubled today. Which is incredible. I mean, it's these smaller companies that you wonder sometimes, like, oh, what's the strategy here? But whatever it was, that buyback led to enough volatility here, or volume, I should say, to say, whoop, oh, look, this stock is going up. And then it keeps getting about, I don't know. I call this actually very risky. But yeah, this is a very, very low float company. I'd be cautious about that. They just bought back more shares, which means now you have even less available. They've got no earnings. Don't know anything about it. I'd be cautious about it. A Torchlight, nice bump in the afters here, going back to 767, nice 70-cent bump. We've got in the after hours here, Marathon Workhorse rotating down in the afters again. Looking at Workhorse in the after hours, usually looking for this around $14. I passed on it earlier when it was at $14. We'll keep an eye on it though, see if it tips back to $14. In the after hours more, we've got the cannabis ETF, Honest Company. No major movements here in the after hours. Looks pretty chillax in the afters. I think the big thing that we're all going to be wanting to pay attention to right now, though, is going to be crypto. Yeah, so crypto here, I'm going to be specifically watching for a potential rotation back to the downside here. We are sitting at 32,500, and it wouldn't take much to spawn a rotation down again. Let's check Coinbase volume here. So the way we could do that is we can go to TradeView. Oopsies, wrong browser. Here we go. Let's go to BTC, crypto, Coinbase. I want to see that Coinbase volume. Yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, massive volume coming in at 32 here, which doesn't surprise me on this particular chart. You didn't really have a lot of volume down at the bottom. I did have an accelerated amount, but not a lot. Okay. Volume is declining. You can see that down here. Volume declining at these higher prices. So you do have a lot of buy the dipping, certainly under 30,000. Let's see if we have any indicators popping up right now. All right, let's see what we got here. Nope, just some strong movement indicators. No particular buy sells. Going out to the day. Yeah, same thing here. Okay, let me go to Tesla. Look at Tesla and C3AI. I keep eyeballing C3AI. Let's see what we've got on the algo over here. No, nothing in particular that's interesting here. Let's do an AMC hunt. search on AMC. So AMC, we have, go to the day. There we go. Okay, this zooms us into what we've had here recently. Couple sell indicators actually here recently. Go in a little bit more. Let's go to the hour. Okay. Hold on a sec. I'm going to turn some of this off. So nice recovery on AMC today. The candles are so tiny here. There we go. Let's get rid of some of the other indicators. There we go. A little better here. Okay, so we've got AMC. I think the big question right now for folks, by the way, if you're investing in AMC, the big question right now for AMC is going to be, are we going to be able to push back over about 61? Usually we draw a support line at about 61 right here. Sometimes you can see we sit right at 61. We do also have, I like to call it a channel for AMC, somewhere between 61 and 62. We've seen it drawn both ways. But if we break through this, then you do get into this uncharted territory of, oh, well, where do we go once we're above this? We'll keep an eye on this. Nice recovery, though, on AMC nonetheless, because we have been selling down. We've been downtrending here the last few days on AMC, either consolidating or downtrending. So keeping an eye on this. And now that we're on the hour stick, let me just plop this in here. Kind of trading mid-range between the bands. Going back to Webull. We're at, okay, we're back up a tiny little bit here. 32.5, almost 32.6. Pretty channeled. Yeah, look how channeled this has been almost all day. If we zoom out, let's go to the 30-minute. Yeah, a little bit easier to see that channel here on probably the 5-minute. There we go. Yeah, okay, this is where we've been sitting. Here's that uptrend. You can see the trend sloping more slowly. So by what I mean by this, for those of you wondering, is you had a nice trend here, which, what was our degree here? Okay, let's get Webull to actually show us. Okay, Webull doesn't want to. Give it a second, we'll tree. So we're about, hold on. Stop it. There we go. So somewhere around the 46-degree slope was our recovery run here, sitting around 16%. This is more of our normal run here. Right now, kind of sitting around flat here. So we'll see if Bitcoin ends up breaking out more, a few percent over here. It's not much right now on the 5-minute chart. We'll see if Bitcoin holds above this or ends up breaking down to the downside. It's going to be a big question. Torchlight just gave up a little bit in the after hours. It was up about 9% here for a moment in the after hours. Now it's only up about 5%. So what else do we have here? We have post-market. Not much other movement. Hydrofarm. Wow, Hydrofarm at $54. Here's a cannabis. It's really become a cannabis play. Wow, look at that. It has just been sitting in this range here. I don't know. Can you really trend this? Maybe here. It's tough. It's not as clear of a wedge as I'd like to be able to draw. Yeah. No. Keep an eye on this one. Maybe you even got to call yourself a flag. It wouldn't be bearish though. So watch Hydrofarm as really when the cannabis play gets back into movement into play. This is when this really did extremely well. Was when cannabis was ripping after November and December. You had Hydrofarm really kicking butt. Nikola, $17. Wow, it went up 7% today. I'm actually shocked. Good for them, I guess. Workhorse down about 1% in afters. Nothing exciting here. To the upside, Torchlight giving up a little bit of that initial run that it had. Big thing for me is watching BTC right now. 32.6 up again slightly. So we'll keep an eye on this. All right. Yeah, live streams are back. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't yet, check out those courses on the links down below. Let's see, somebody's asking about Wish. Wish? Yeah, you know, I haven't gotten in on Wish. I'll do a quick fundy, just a quick earnings analysis on it. I don't think they're profitable, but I also don't remember. I want to say I went out to 2025 and I couldn't see that. All right, 1 second here. Yeah, not profitable 2021, 22. There we go. Okay, actually goes profitable in 23, sitting at a potential of Wall Street forecasted EPS of 64 cents in 2025. That puts them at, that's actually not bad. 21 times forward P. That's actually not horrible. It's much better than expected. So that's not bad. That's Wish, which, in case you're not familiar with Wish, I'll give you their quick breakdown here. Wish.com provides e-commerce services. The company helps merchants reach customers as well as enables users to personalize shopping and find products. Wish.com. Okay. There you go. Wish.com. Interesting. It looks like you have to consent to cookies and log in to get more. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Pinterest. Maybe that's the one to compare it to. All right, going back over here. But yeah, I mean, look, Wish's volume has absolutely been incredible. You've basically got a double here from its bottom, which has been very, very good for Wish. It's been selling down substantially. I wouldn't call it a short interest stock because the short interest just isn't that high. But this rapid downtrend that has been continuing for a very long period of time is essentially over. Nice break on that downtrend, which is great. Did IPO at about $24. Right now, it seems to be sitting at about $13.50. Looks like maybe you'd have a previous resistance, which might serve as a support, somewhere right around here at 1536. Massive volume movements, though, over here on Wish. Let's go grab some of our charts here. I do want to, we'll take a look at Wish. Wish stock. All right, let's see here. Here's our day on Wish going into the after hours here. So was it this flat today? Hold on a sec. Wish today. What did it do today? Today, Wish. Yeah, it was flat today. It was literally flat today. Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty flat today. Let me see if I can go out to the 1 hour on this. Yeah, gonna have to zoom out a little bit. Good mover here. So it looks like the algo pushed it as a potential buy around $8. I mean, it wasn't wrong. That buy came in well before the spike here. Did indicate a sell when it spiked to 1675, which would still have been a profitable trade here. Oh, nice. Okay. Well, one to keep an eye on. It is a little bit in potential reversal territory right now. See what ends up happening. Who knows? Maybe if Wish reverses back down, it's one to keep an eye on for jumping in. All right. Here's a question. $20. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time for discussion. Does anyone think the massive drop in BTC price could be a downward catalyst for AMC? Oh, yeah. It's possible. That's not a bad argument. I mean, there's a lot of trading that goes on right now, and people do look to rotate to opportunities. I think that could be a temporary, shorter term catalyst. I don't know that it'd be huge because I think you've got a very, very strong ape army that's strong in AMC. But yeah, I mean, I think it could create some headwinds. The more discounted some things become, the less appealing something else becomes, right? So the cheaper and cheaper something gets, the better. So good question. Very good question. Appreciate it. Okay, folks, that's it for the closing live. Thank you so very much for being here. Appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Subscribe if you like this kind of content, and we'll keep bringing them back. All right. Bye, everyone.